Hey everybody, how's it going? Extreme Trends here. Security is a very crucial necessity to take into consideration when it comes to owning a home. The importance of keeping your family safe should always be your first priority. However, some people get a little bit too paranoid and overdo it just a tad. With that being said, today we're going to be taking a look at 10 of the most heavily guarded homes on Earth. Number 10. Zombie Bunker. The architects of KWK Promes wanted to create a real-life bunker with this concept and form a complete above-ground citadel just so if there should ever be a global epidemic, the owners will be ready. Or perhaps the architects who outlined the house actually believed that the Earth will be inhabited by a gigantic army of zombies. The building, which looks like an everyday but somewhat dystopian home, but once the sun goes down, this so-called house transforms into something else. The big concrete blocks resting on the side of the windows begun to swing shut and a big iron shield is shifted downwards at the back of the house. There is just one way to get in and out of this zombie bunker, and it is through the drawbridge that swivels down over the pool section outside. So if you seriously want to ensure there are no zombies chewing down on your guts at night, then call up the genius at KWK Promes and get yourself one of these houses ASAP. Number 9. Bill Gates. We all know Bill Gates has a lot of money. In fact, he is the richest man in the world from his multi-billion-dollar company, Microsoft. Being in the tech industry, it's no surprise that Bill Gates had his house decked out with all of the latest home protection security features. When visitors arrive at his multi-billion-dollar home, they receive a pin that communicates with sensors residing all over the home. Visitors can set their temperature and lighting preferences so that these settings shift as they travel throughout the house. Speakers concealed behind wallpaper lets music flow from room to room as it follows you. The house also happens to be an earth-sheltered house, which means that it takes advantage of its natural surroundings as walls for temperature and to emit heat loss. Floors in every section of the home are sensitive to pressure as they are monitored 24/7. This is so that security knows who's in the resident, where they are at every second, and how much weight they have gained at Thanksgiving dinner between when they sat down and when they got up. On the property of the mansion lives a maple tree. This tree is so important to Bill Gates that it's seriously monitored electronically at all times to make sure the precious tree never gets too dry. If it does, then it'll be sure to be watered right away. Number 8. Fort Knox. One of the most unknown facts about its security is that 30,000 soldiers, tanks, armored personnel carriers, attack helicopters, and artillery reside outside. According to spectators, the turrets that were built into the vault are there to take care of the Thompson machine gun resting on top. Not only that, but the lawn leading up to the depository is said to be covered with landmines. New Age radar scans the entire base, the same radar that is used by Predator drones. Body capacitant wires or electric fences are claimed to crisscross the property. Laser trigger machine guns apparently surround the whole entire grounds. If someone were to be so lucky as to make it out alive past all of the outdoor security, right inside there is an army of Mint police waiting patiently for any intruders. The vault door weighs more than 20 tons and no one on Earth has the combination for it. Each one of these vaults can be filled with water. Fort Knox workers are obviously sworn to confidentiality and are strictly not to confirm or deny any of the security methods they possess. Number 7. The Corby family. Typical protection threats require more present-day security actions. Some favor missile-proofing their windows and others use a more intense method, wanting to build houses into old military outposts that were once used to launch nuclear warheads. Then there are modern bunkers like this specific home that's listed for $5.9 million. It's covered with the top-of-the-line home security systems and much more. Whether you're looking for a house built to endure small-scale home robberies, or maybe even the casual zombie apocalypse, this mansion in the hills of Los Angeles, California possesses all of that. Constructed by Al Corby, creator of the security solutions firm Safe, owns the land with his wife and former Crown Media CEO Lana Corby. The 7,740 square foot home in the Hollywood Hills is an original mix of extravagance, caution, and home security. The house sits within a two-home gated community on its own personal hilltop. It contains not one but two panic rooms and a pair of safe cores, which are essentially bathrooms that when you lock a particular door can be restricted from the rest of the house. Not to mention there's a rooftop helipad for Bond-like escapes. Number 6. The White House. Surrounding the exteriors of the White House stands a fence that is made completely out of reinforced iron. In the mid-90s, this fence was stretched out further by an entire block in order to keep traffic further away. This fence keeps car bombs from parking too close to the perimeters. Also scattered throughout the inside and outside of the house are Secret Service agents who are military equipped for any sudden intrusion. Any kind of food that makes its way into the White House, whether it's for the house chef to make or brought in by a guest, it needs to be checked and secured. All of the screening regarding this is completed at an off-site facility for security purposes. The windows are completely bulletproof, the roofs have radars, barriers made out of concrete, and when you enter you must forgo a screening. The walls are equipped with infrared sensors, and the place even has its own air filtration system to keep the air fresh for Mr. President. After 9/11, there was a limitation added to how high planes are allowed to fly over the White House. Number 5. Fort Alexandra I. Constructed between 1838 and 1845, Fort Alexandra was administered by Emperor Nikolai I and named after his brother Emperor Alexander I. Just like many other forts in the Gulf, this fort was built on top of a man-made island. Created and designed to be a military base, the fort's intimidating appearance by itself was imposing enough to keep anyone from trying to invade St. Petersburg. The oval-shaped fort measures out to around about 295 by 170 feet in total, equipped with 3 floors, 1 yard in the middle, and one particular room that can fit up to 1,000 soldiers inside. The compound includes a section of 103 cannon ports and an additional 34 large guns on the roof, giving the fort a pretty exhilarating military advantage. The palace was actually turned into a security zone on its own, allowing scientists to expedite certain experiments in order to find cures to diseases such as cholera, tetanus, and typhus. Years later, the place was home to many disco parties and raves, but today it's known as a highly secured and beloved tourist spot. Number 4. Ryangzong Residence. Constructed originally back in 1983 by Kim Il-sung, the residence is heavily guarded, features various houses for the Kim family and a running leat, artificial lakes, and a personal train station, which is all supplied with power by 3 well-known substances. On the outside of the compound sits various anti-aircraft artillery sites, and in there lies various underground facilities meant to keep the military safe in case of a nuclear war. It is also said that there could be a minefield in and all around the compound, however, not many have been able to pinpoint exactly where they are located. The residence is once again divided by even more several internal fences. These fences mostly stand guarding high priority areas such as the official residence of Kim Jong-un. Beside these fences, there are buildings, greenhouses, barracks, and much more. All in all, with electric fences, armored guards, minefields, iron rods, lead-covered concrete, and underground tunnels, the leader of Korea is pretty darn secure. Number 3. Buckingham Palace. The palace contains around 600 rooms, which include 19 staterooms, 78 bathrooms, 92 offices, a theatre room, and a swimming pool. It also contains its own post office and police station. Just about 400 people work at the palace, including domestic servants, chef, footmen, cleaners, plumbers, gardeners, electricians, and 2 people who look after the 300 clocks. Aside from this, the Queen also has her inventory of guards known as the Queen's Guards. They stand and guard each building on the property every day, 24 hours a day. Recently, there were huge metal rings to be put up on the perimeters of the palace to prevent any cars from crashing into the walls. Along with walls and human guards, the residence also contains several series of fences surrounding the palace. These fences, however, are not to be messed with. They contain barbed wire, so you can't even place your hands on them. Between a whole entire army of military trained men who stand guard outside of each and every building of the complex, Buckingham Palace is reputed to be one of the best secured places on Earth. Number 2, Greenbrier Bunker. This was originally part of a hotel that presidents would flee to in times of catastrophe. Well, now we know why. Hiding in back of 3-foot thick concrete walls of one particular hotel room is an area probably around the size of a Walmart. The air intake system is so sharp because it was originally made to filter out radiation. It is so intricate that there is a vacuum-like feeling when you walk in. The wind whistles loudly all around you and sucks all of the doors tight shut. This room was built in the 1950s during the scare of nuclear bombs. President Eisenhower needed a spot to hide just in case, and it just so happened that fallout shelters were trending at the time, so he decided to make the most secure room in human existence, and it was just used for that sole purpose for 30 years to follow. Today, a part of the Greenbrier Bunker is available for all tourists to visit. Number 1, Maximum Security Mansion. Inspired by the Biltmore Estate in North Carolina, this limestone gem is 9 years in the making and a legitimate example of dexterity and design. This mansion is insanely original in its design features and appearance. A group of craftsmen worked with the homeowners and the architects to guarantee that each block of stone, diamond-cut glass, wrought iron, and the 126 chandeliers were each crafted to resemble a castle's design. Several balconies and stone decks invite anyone who visits to chill and indulge in the perfection of one of Colorado's most majestic peaks. What this maximum security mansion is known for the most, however, is its heavily secured gated system. This house is so secure that despite many attempts, nobody has managed to break into the mansion, and every one of them have gone through serious consequences. So that has been the top 10 most heavily guarded houses on Earth. If you did enjoy the video or found it interesting, then why not go check out one of our other videos by clicking the video on screen now. Before you do that though, as always, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single upload. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll speak to you in the next video. A gigantic army of zombies. The building, which looks like an everyday but somewhat dystopian home, but once the sun goes down, this so-called house transforms into something else. The big concrete blocks resting on the side of the windows begun to swing. Hey everybody, how's it going? Extreme Trends here. Security is a very crucial necessity to take into consideration when it comes to owning a home. The importance of keeping your family safe should always be your first priority. However, some people get a little bit too short and a big iron shield is shifted downwards at the back of the house. There is just one way to get in and out of the zombie bunker, and it is through the drawbridge that swivels down over the pool section outside. So if you seriously want to ensure there are no real-life bunker with this concept and form a complete above-ground citadel, just so if there should ever be a global epidemic, the owners will be ready. Or perhaps the architects who outlined the house actually believe that the earth will be inhabited by a paranoid and overdo it just a tad. With that being said, today we're going to be taking a look at 10 of the most heavily guarded homes on Earth. Number 10, Zombie Bunker. The architects of KWK Promes wanted to create a real